All right, cool. And we're back. Bears Nation podcast, Wednesday, September 30th. In the middle of our show, things just happen. You know, that's radio, baby. That's business, baby, as I always say. So, back into it, we were in the middle of discussing Khalil Mack and him potentially missing this game, and Kevin was in the middle of a thought. So, Kevin, I turn things over to you.
Yeah, so what I was saying was, with Khalil Mack, if he had held out of that game against Cleveland, like he went out in the second quarter, if he had not come back, and then we saw the injury diagnosis at practice as DNP, I would have thought no shot he plays because he's dealing with something. He's not able to play on it, clearly, because that's why he didn't return on Sunday. But he did return. He did come back. I don't think he recorded a sack when he came back, but he was still out there, looking like his typical self, getting pressure, getting after running backs in the backfield, things like that, looking quick and explosive. So I think what you're looking at is a diagnosis and injury where he can play on it, and we know that, and that was evident based off of what we saw on Sunday. But you don't need to rush him in practice. You don't need him to re-aggravate anything. Hold him out, making a game time decision on Sunday. Shoot him up with whatever painkillers he needs on Sunday, cortisone shots, whatever it is. Get him ready to play by then. He's Khalil Mack. He's a veteran. He's one of the best in the game. Don't need him to risk anything at practice. So I think that's what you're looking at there. And if that's the case, Jake, even if it's not the case, I'm excited because of Robert Quinn. 4 sacks through 3 games.
Yeah,
he looks good. The pressure's back. We might have something to Robert Quinn finally now that he's healthy. And then on the other side, a guy who got a little bit of time when Mack was out was our guy Trevis Gipson, who looked good in the preseason. You get to see something from him. They should get after this offensive line regardless. Obviously, you want Mack there, but if not, Robert Quinn's playing well. You get opportunity from young guy and Trevis Gipson.
And Mario Edwards, he had an immediate impact. He only got, I think, 20 snaps out of 80, the 81 on defense. But, you got to ramp him up slowly. So, he made an immediate. Yeah, you have a point there. And, Robert Quinn, you're right. We have not talked about him nearly enough. We ragged on him. We ragged on him a lot last year. And he's played really well. He's played really, really well. He's the guy that you're paying that $94 million to, is what he looks like this year. So, and against some decent offensive lines too. LA especially, nothing to sneeze at. Cincinnati is okay. Yep. Cleveland's decent. But he's been great. So you're right. And I think I did have that thought about Khalil Mack, that it might just be let him rest. No reason to push him in practice against guys he's easily going to beat. I could see that as well. But yeah, here's what I'm saying with this game. I'm worried. I'm worried about this game. And I don't think I'm alone. Am I rooting for them to lose? No, of course not. But am I going to be surprised if they lose? No, not at all.
I'll still be surprised. I will.
I just think you might just have a situation of which team wants it more here. And in this case, because Detroit too is still looking for their first win, and so what better time to get it than against your division rival? So on their home field too. So it's a dicey situation for the Bears. I think this is is it too much of an overreaction to say that this is a make or break week for the Bears?
No, it's not an overreaction at all. From what standpoint? From like a playoff standpoint, or from like an everything state of the franchise standpoint?
Yeah. I wouldn't say state of the franchise, but sure.
We've already talked about how we've started to see glimpses of a loss of the locker room. We saw the Jimmy Graham tweet. Yeah. You kind of saw Allen Robinson be really lackluster in his press conference, and he's typically more of a mellow guy who's not as energetic when he talks about things in front of the media. But I think you're at that point where we're close. We're close to losing that. And if you lose this week against an opponent that you're supposed to beat, opponent you have consistently dominated, who guys in the building, I know there's a lot of new guys on this team, but even the guys who are relatively new in the past few years and the guys who've been here for a while, which there are a few of those, it's an expectation to beat the Detroit Lions. And when you don't do that, that's when things start to go south. So that you're right. This is a breaking point. And the reason why I say I'm not worried is under one condition. I'm not worried if Bill Lazor becomes the play caller and is the play caller on Sunday, and I think he is. And no, seriously, because obviously I'm worried if Matt Nagy's the play caller. How could you not be? But with Bill Lazor as the play caller, I do have every reason to believe this offense can put up 30 points, maybe even more. They did it in 4 games out of or maybe even 5. I think 4 out of the 6 that he was the play caller last year. and they looked good. I mean, and people are going to ask, well, what's different? Because there's a lot of people who really don't know what's different as far as bringing in Bill Lazor from Matt Nagy, and it's not anything, drastic. It's really just more pre-snap motion. It's more play action. It's just a little bit more creativity, more of an emphasis on running the ball in the right situations, and really not putting yourself in bad situations on third down. Last week, Jake, the Bears averaged 9.9 yards to go on third down. 9.9. How are you expected to win a game with 9.9 yards to go on third down? And especially considering this too. I'm bringing out the stats. So here we go. Next Gen Stats is my best friend. I love it. Guess who's last in the league at rate of seeing 8+ men in the box from running backs on their snaps? Guess who's last? David Montgomery. He's seeing 8+ men in the box 2.17% of the time. So for perspective, Derrick Henry, who's 5th on this list and this category, sees 8+ men 42.5% of the time. Why? Because the Titans go heavy sets. They know they're going to run the ball with Derrick Henry more often than not. But you know that it's 2.17% that you're seeing 8+ men in the box. Why aren't we giving this guy 20 carries, Jake? Why are we not giving him twice, if not 2.5 times as much what we saw on Sunday? That's what has to happen.
Because against Cleveland, you didn't have the time to. you didn't have any time to do
you had to play
like
catch
that.
up, but that's a season rate. That's a season rate.
Right.
So that wasn't just a week 3
right.
rate. He's not seeing defensive fronts that are equipped to stop him, especially when he can break 5 tackles at the line of scrimmage. So you got to, what my take is on NFL offenses in this day and age. You're not going to win consistently with the ground and pound formula. It's just not going to happen. But in this sort of situation, when you think about the other factors, with a rookie quarterback, a guy who struggled last week, you want to ease him in. If he is the starter, which I think he will be, you want to ease him back in. You don't want him to come out just immediately firing and make more mistakes. Give him some time to, get back into it, get used to it. Run the ball at Dave Montgomery, run him on early downs. That way you're not putting yourself in 3rd and 10 situations every single drive.
No, I think you're right. You do have to utilize Dave Montgomery more. Definitely have to give him more opportunities. Let's get to the game predictions then. Bears open as 3-point favorites. You can currently get -3, Bears -3 at even money on FanDuel Sportsbook. I mean, asking the Bears to cover any spread. I mean, asking the Bears to win.
Wait. Minus what? What was it?
-3.
What was the spread? 3. Okay.
Spread is 3 for the Bears at home. And oh man, I mean, and it's at even money. I mean, that's again back to my point about this being a breaking point. Again, a reminder who you have after this Lions game. You have the Raiders, then you have the Packers, then you have the Bucks, then you have the Niners, then you have the Steelers, then you have the Ravens. It's not easy sledding by any means, and you are going to have. I mean, this is a brutal stretch after this game, so you need to get to 500, and then hopefully you split those Raiders, Packers, Bucks, Niners games. Hopefully you can go 2-2.
Yeah.
I mean, more likely 1-3. And who knows what I mean, we don't know what the Steelers are. They're a mess too.
They're a toss-up.
I mean, Kevin, I'll go first. I mean, I think the Bears lose this game 21-19.
Oh my God.
I think the Bears lose this game 21-19. Yeah.
Okay, so we're both going to go some hard predictions.
I think it's a touchdown, 2 field goals, and you have a touchdown at the end and a failed 2-point conversion.
I like it. I'm going bold.
That loses you game.
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's an interesting take, actually. Okay. Very interesting. They win this game 31-13. And here's why. Yes. So listen. So let's look. Bears lose 6 games in a row last year. Right?
Yes,
they lose to the Rams, the Saints, the Titans, Vikings, Packers. They lose to the Lions. And then who do they play December 13th when they switch play callers? Or I think, the 3rd week after they switch play callers, I think they switched it for the Packers game, right? Is what we determined.
It was
or whatever it was.
They scored the Vikings.
Vikes. Okay,
Vikings,
so they scored
Packers.
25 against the Packers, 30 against the Bears, and then they play the Texans, beat them 36-7 at home on their home turf. Big old win. This is a scenario where if they switch play callers, all of a sudden, everyone's checked back in. The offense looks good. The defense feeds off the momentum. They're already better at home. They have a chance to win this game big if that's the case. Again, big asterisk. I'm only making this prediction if indeed, I want that to be noted, if indeed he is the play caller. But if he is, Jake, based off of the evidence we have of how competent this offense can be, with just a little bit of tweaking with a quarterback like Justin Fields as well, they can win this game by a large margin.
If it's Nagy, what's your prediction if it's Nagy?
If it's Nagy, I still think they win, but it's 21-17 or it's 20-16 or something really weird. I think they win this game regardless, but they can win this game by a large margin if Bill Lazor is calling plays. And there's going to be people who are saying, you're so freaking stupid. What is wrong with you? You're back to the old antics of optimism. No, look at last year. Seriously. No, look at last year. Look at what we saw against lesser opponents, against the Jaguars, against the Texans, against even the Vikings the week after that when they dropped 33 on them. They should and will beat these teams at home with competent play calling. They will. They will.
I just can't believe in this team right now. I mean, absolutely, I will. And that's the thing. If they win this game and they get back to 500, everyone's going to be, all right, we're back on track. Here we go. Especially if, like
maybe they should be.
And especially if, like you said, play caller change and Justin Fields is committed to as the starter, then people are going to be back. But from where we're at right now, I have no faith in this team. I'm sticking by 21-19. They lose on a failed 2-point conversion. And then that's the breaking point. I mean, it's going to be a tough sledding going forward. I'm really concerned about this team. Again, I don't think Nagy gets fired, but it could potentially be bad. I mean, this could be the start of another 6-game losing streak, theoretically, which would be terrible.
If you lose this game, you lose 6 in a row. Yeah, if you lose this game, you lose that many in a row.
Yeah, but I mean, it's bad. But hey, we'll see what happens. We don't even know who's starting. We don't know who's calling plays. We don't know who's starting. We don't know if we have Khalil Mack. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. Granted, it's only Wednesday, and there's 2 more days of practice. But Dios me, there is a lot up in the air. But regardless of that fact, we will be back on Monday to break it all down. Regardless of the result, regardless of the score, we'll have either overreactions. We'll probably have overreactions regardless of what happens. But we'll be back here to break it all down for you guys and look ahead to what the rest of the season holds. So we will see you on Monday to break down the Bears versus Lions, which who knows what will happen. But until then, talk to you later. And as always, bear down.
Bear down.